And in this part, I will bring some configuration operation demonstration about our SIP devices endpoints. And first, you need to get our device's IP address. And the method one is using our ZCAE tool, which is the Search Active IP Audio Device tool. You can download this software from our website, www.zycoo.com, and you can try it by yourself. And next, I will show you by myself. Let me wait a moment. Okay, this is our ZCAE tool. You can see this interface, and on the right side, you can see the Discover. If you press this button, the ZCAE tool will scan your local network and find some ZYCOO devices, and the online devices will be displayed on the interface. And now you can see I have scanned two devices, the EIL5 and the EIL5. And you can also see some parameters of the devices, such as the MAC, the IP address, the IP mode shows the DHCP mode, and the module, the software version, the hardware version, and so on. And you can see the IP address shown as the blue font. It means that you can click the IP address and you can access it by the system browser. If you click the yes, and it will be logged in from the browser. Okay, and on the left side, you can also click the login to enter the username and the password to log in these devices. And it shows the results. It says we have two devices successfully logged in. And on the right side of this panel, you can see the export options and the configuration. If your devices have configured before, you can click the export to download the configuration into your computer. Or you can click the configuration for these devices. Okay, I click the configuration button and the window pop out, and you can configure the primary SIP account, the volume settings, or the network settings. Okay. Now we can look at the right corner of this page. You can see the config template. It is very suitable for some scenarios which in some very large scale or medium scale. You can click the config template and you can just enter the SIP server like the 192.168.1.1 for an example, and SIP port for 5060 by default, and the SIP domain set it as the SIP server, and enter the password, then click the submit. Your template has completed now, and now you can click the configuration, and next you can click the load template on the right side, and the setting will be will be changed automatically, and now you can just only use enter the user ID and the auth ID. Okay, that's a brief introduction about our ZCAE tool. If you want to know more, you can refer to our user guide on the ZYCOO.com. Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Let's show the next method. If you don't want to use the ZCAE tool, you can just use some physical way to know the IP address. For example, we got a lot of speakers, right? The SW15, the SC15, you can just press and hold the reset button for 3 seconds and release the reset button. And the IP address will be announced by these devices. And by the way, our SH30 SH30's reset button is on the wiring harness, and our SL30's reset button, you need to release the screw, the screw, and you will see the reset button. And this designs is used for a better waterproof and dustproof performance.
Yeah, so for using the physical manual method to getting the IP address is suitable for if you only need to get a few, like a couple of the speakers IP address, or otherwise we would, if you like have a new installation and you have like a bunch of speakers, like 50, 100 speakers, we do recommend you to use the ZCAE tool instead of like pressing and hold the button for every speakers and getting the IP address, because on the speakers before IP method we use DHCP, unless if your network doesn't have DHCP servers, it will default on a static IP default on 1.101. So otherwise, if you have DHCP, then it will default on a DHCP. Then the network will be randomly assigned the IP address for the endpoints.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this page shows our intercoms reset buttons, including our EI series and IA and IB. For these intercoms, you can just press and hold the reset button on the device main panel for 5 seconds and release it. It will, the IP address will be announced automatically. Okay, and let's go to the next slide. It shows the X10. And before you press and hold the volume button, you need to connect external speaker with our X10, and then you can press and hold the volume plus and volume minus buttons for 3 seconds and release them, and the IP address will be announced. Okay. That's all for the device's hardware method. And in this page, I will do some shows about the features. Okay, let's create the PowerPoint and shows the shows our device's management address. Okay, when you get a device for the first time, the first thing you need to do is to track this device's whether can work functionally. Yeah, you can click the maintenance and you can click the test. You can see 3 different tests on this page. They are speaker test, microphone loop test, and the relay test. And if you click the start test button of the speaker test, and the device will give play a ringtone, and it can test this speaker. And for the next one, you can just click the start button, and then you say something, and the speaker will repeat your words. And for the next one is the relay test. If you click the test button, you can just test the relay devices can work functionally. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint to continue. After you testing your devices, you can just change the device's IP address. Go back to our management of the devices, click System, Network. And now we use HTTP mode for the network. If you want to use the static network, you need to disable the DHCP, and you can enter the IP address into this text box. And if you don't know your company's or a company's network, you can contact with your network administrator to get your local networks subnet. And for the subnet network, by default, we use the 255.255.255.0. And the next is our gateway. You can just enter the IP address of your company's router's IP address into it. And the next one is the DNS, including the primary DNS and the alternate DNS. You can get to DNS, which is very suitable for your country. And if you confirm your network setting is good, and you can click the submit button and click yes. Your device will be rebooted now. And after the reboot is finished, your network setting is finished completely. Okay. Okay, the next feature is the P2P. In some scenarios, our customer didn't want to use another SIP server, so we can still use the P2P feature or the multicast feature. Okay, let me show you first. On the AO5 management page, you can just click the advanced. SIP settings, P2P account, and give a user ID for it. We can just set it at 100. And the auto answer setting left yes, and we activated it and submit. Okay, and we log into another device. Oh, by the way, our device's default admin username and password are both admin. We go to SIP settings, P2P account either, and give the EIVO files P2P user ID as 101 and activated it too. Then we can go to the advanced IO settings page. And in the key settings, we can choose the key actions as the outgoing calls, and the next destination line, we choose the P2P account. And the destination, you need to enter the remote devices IP address. We copy the EIAO files, IP address to here, and add the P2P account in front of it, and add the
user ID.
The user ID. Then we click the submit. And we do the same thing on the EIAO file. We choose the advanced IO settings. Enter the IP address of the EIAO file.
And the
Yes.
line, you need to choose the P2P.
Click submit. Okay, the P2P setting has been completed, and we can test it now. You can just click the button of the EI series.
Hello. Oops. Yep. It's
Okay.
like the two devices are too
yeah.
close. Here goes. And you guys have realized that on the P2P setup, we didn't rely on any of the SIP protocols. So it's completely based on IP. So on using the P2P, you can achieve the two-way communication within two devices without the server. So as long as the two devices, they are under the same network, then you are able to use the P2P for two-way communications.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next feature. Is our multicast. And this feature can be used without the SIP server. Let's show you how it works. Okay, first let's go to the EIAO files address, and we can click the advanced, and we choose the multicast. Then we enable the multicast button, and you can see the multicast address, and the multicast port was 2000 by default, and you can give this multicast a name. And by the way, you can click the relay control for fast flashing or slow flashing. For this time, we just choose the disable.
Yeah, because we didn't connect any of the relay device on the intercom. So if we connect like a alarm light with the intercom, that way we can use the relays. So if any announcement that is going on using the multicast, then the light would go on like on a slow mode or fast mode or on mode. Yeah.
Okay, then we click the submit to save these settings. Okay, and next we need to log into our IP phones. The user and the password was admin by default. We log in it, and we choose the function key on the left navigation bar. Okay, I click it, and we choose the function key. Then you can see there are a lot of function key settings. I just choose the first one, the SS key 1-to-1, and I change the tab to multicast, and I give it a name as test. And the value, we need to copy the multicast address and plus its port number 2000. Then we can just click the apply. The setting of the multicast had been set successfully, and we can test it now. On the phone's function key, we can just click the function key 1 and it will work.
Hello. Hello. Here we go. It's just a bit too close for the two devices. I should like remove one further away, not having like two multiple devices too close.
Yeah, but it works.
Yep, it works. So one thing that we need to clarify here is some of the people, they do get confused on the difference between P2P and multicast. So let's distinguish the P2P and multicast. So P2P is a two-way communications method, and it's one endpoint to another endpoint. So it's one-to-one. And in terms of the multicast, it's a one-way audio, not two-way. One-way audio, one-to-many. So you can have a audio source, and then you have like multiple speakers. You grab your phones, and then you have 10 speakers doing the pagings using the multicast. But if you need like two-way communication, that you need to use the P2P.
Okay, and next I will show you the API settings first. And you can just click the EIL5 advanced API settings, and you can see a lot of API settings here. And by generally, we usually use the API settings for Play API enabled. We enable this setting, and you can see we got the Start Play API and the Stop Play API. We just have an example about the Start Play API. You can see this URL includes the start ID and the repeat and the volume. The 7 means for this URL, it will be played during the, in the volume 7, and you can change this value later. And the repeat 0 means it will be played
infinitely looping the audio.
Yeah, I just copy this URL. And then we go back to the IP phones. We choose the function key, and we select the action URL for the key 1, 2. And we also give it a name, and we enter the value we just copied, and I change the volume to 3, the repeat times to 1. Okay, and let me check it again. Okay, no problems. Then I click the play button, and it will save to our cell phones. Okay, now I click the 1, 2 key. It will work. Okay. Wait a moment.
105那边 click 了吗？
Okay, it worked. I forgot to click the submit button just now. You need to remember that you need to click submit both on the SIP devices and the SIP phones. Yeah. Okay.
So the API section is very useful here, especially that we bring out the APIs into the front interface, which most of the systems, device systems, they do not bring out them the APIs into different interface. And as we use the star API as an example, you can see there are 3 parameters here, and there are values that you can change. So for example, if we look at the action equals star and ID equal 1, so the 1 is the value of the parameters of the ID. So you can change it to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So if you like have the mouse to get on the question mark, so there will be explain the IDs on which ringtone it belongs to. So if you need not the ringtones, if you need like a alarm sounds, then you would change the ID equals to 5 or to 6. And then the next parameter is the repeat. So repeat is equal 0, that means repeated infinitely, and it will be repeating over again. So if you change it to 1, like repeat equal 1, so it will repeat 1 time. And the volume equals 7, so you can adjust the volume there. So the maximum volume is 7, but you can change the 7 to like a 1 to 6, right? 1 to 7. So you can do like volume equal 3 or volume equal 5. So you can change the value within the API here. And also above the place API, so the API setting here is the API that other systems can be used through the devices. But we on above, if we scroll up on the core events URL callback, so if we enable these sections, so we can also accept another system's API request as well. So if we enable the incoming call, so there is a incoming callback URL which we can accept the request from another system as well.
Yeah.
So this feature is like very useful in many cases. For example, if we are familiar with the PBX systems, we have a if you need to like record or you need to mark down how many calls that comes to this destination, these intercoms, then we can do a setting here. So for example, like we can place a PBX API setting, which will be like sending a request to the PBX servers and letting the PBX servers know that, okay, I got a call coming, I got another call coming, then the PBX servers or like another server, they can do whatever they need using the API here. So this guy is like very useful. And yeah, I hope you guys can try it out on using the API.
Okay, let's move on to the next feature.
On the IO settings.
Okay.
So if we go on the events on the IO settings, so this page may look a little bit complicated for some of you, but I will try my best to explain the IO settings. So on the first section we have is the key settings. So the key setting here means the buttons. So on most of our devices, like the intercom or the speakers, they can connect with a button or more than one buttons. So if a device, for example, like the X10 gateway, it can connect 2 buttons. So you will see the key 1 action and key 2 actions on the interface on the systems. So the key 1 actions here, if we click on the so if we click on the key 1 actions, so basically there are 3 options here. For the first one would be outgoing call. So if I press the buttons, it will be dialed to the destination number. So the destination number can be the security guard's phone numbers. It can be 911 or it can be whatever number that you set up. So that is the outgoing call. And the second would be a HTTP request, which will be sending a URL callback request to another systems. So if we click on here, then you will be sending a URL request. And then the third option is to play audio. So if I click on the buttons, it will be play the audio file that you select. So for example, I can select a alarms, or I can select a custom audio, which can be a recorded audio, or it can be like a music. So it will be depends on how you want to use the buttons. So the key setting here is the button settings, is the action on what will react after you press the buttons. So if I do outgoings, then I would need to choose the line. So if we have the, we register the device on the SIP server, then we will be selecting either a auto or like whatever SIP lines that you're using. So it can be the master or the secondary first or secondary seconds, or the P2P that we just did the demonstration here. And then the destination, for example, if I do the autos, the destination number can be 101 or 1001, whatever. So the destination number will be 101. And then we have the press again to end call. So if you press the button again, it will end the call. So that is basically the setup for the buttons. And then the second section here, we have the sensor setting. So the sensor setting, it is a sensor input setting. So for example, let's imagine that we connect a smoke detector with the intercom, right? When the smoke detector is activated, it will send a signal to the intercoms. So here is how we want the intercom to be react, or how we want the speaker to be react. So for example, if the smoke detector is activated, I wanted to call 911. I wanted to call Kenny or call Emily. And so we will be entering the number here, 101, and we need to choose the lines. So if you register the device on the SIP servers, then we'll choosing the SIP lines here, or using the P2P. Or we can choose the trigger audio. So dial numbers or trigger audio, you can only select either one of them. So you cannot select both at the same time. So for example, you will be choosing the dial number if you connect with a smoke detector. Smoke detector activated, it will call Emily and let Emily know the smoke detector is activated. And the trigger audio can be, we connect with a infrared sensors. So outside of the warehouse, if someone is trying to crossing the lights, and then the sensor activated, and it will play a announcement you need to leave the area immediately. You need to leave now. So we can record a message. We can record the message and then select here. So when the sensor is activated, then the speakers will play this audio. And you can choose it plays how many times. So it can play 10 times or 20 times, depends on how you set it up. So that is what the sensors settings here. And then on the bottom sections, we have the relay control, which is the relay control output. So it can be output. Let's imagine that we connect a alarm light. So would be a alarm light. So let's imagine that we have a alarm light like this. Here we go. Can you guys see the alarm lights? So let's imagine that we connect these alarm lights with the intercom, right? And also we are connecting a smoke detectors. So when the smoke detector is activated, this light will go on. So that is how the trigger by input signal works. And then we also can use with the DTMF key. So generally speaking, when we are using the DTMF, we are usually connected to a door magnetic. For example, when the intercom is connected with the door magnetic, I press the button and then it dials to the security room. The security room confirm, okay, it's Emily, I can let her in to the buildings. And then it press the 1 star or 2 stars key on the phone, on the IP phones to unlock the door. And that is using the DTMF signals. And then we also can be triggered by the call statics. For examples, let's imagine that we have a speaker that is also connected to the alarm lights in a very noisy environment, like in the warehouse or in the subway stations. And I need to draw the attention when there is an announcement coming in, right? In that case, I can do the trigger by call statics. And then when there is an incoming call and someone is trying to call the intercoms or trying to call the speakers, then the light will go on. So that is how the trigger by call statics work. And also there are some parameters, like you can do the events like incoming call or outgoing calls or both, or like answer that they hang up. And then the statics, so you can control how the lights work. So it can be on or it can be fast flashing or slow flashing. And then also the directions, so you can set up the lights to go up for 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 1 minute. So it is depends on how you're going to set up the devices, the setting here. So one question here is which device that you are configuring. So right here, I am configuring the A05, which will be this guy.
Yeah, A05.
The intercom with a single buttons, the EI A05. All right. So, and if you guys, as I mentioned multiple times, if you need to use a custom audio, like you recorded a audio and to use, like someone saying, okay, you need to get out this area immediately. So here is the place that we will uploading the audios. So right, also under events on audio files right here. So on all models of the speakers or the intercoms, we support a maximum number of 5 music files. So you can upload at most 5 customs recorded message or your music to the device and use. So here is the place that you will uploading the music to the device directly. So as I went through some of the settings on the device itself, and you guys know that we haven't mentioned any of the servers yet. So that is all the pretty much all the feature or function that you need to know within the device itself. So such as we went through the P2P, we went through the multicast, the IO settings, APIs, and etc. So you guys can use this feature without a SIP server. And then the next sections, let's see. Okay, so the next feature that we will be introducing is using the SIP server. So let's go back to the interface here. So as you guys know that all of our devices, they are SIP enabled, and all the devices model, they support 3-line SIP account. So you can register the same device onto 3 different SIP servers. So it can be a IP audio centers and then a PBX, a IP PBX, and then another SIP server to use. So let's go on the SIP settings. And then we have the primary SIP accounts, and then the secondary, and then the secondary 1, secondary 2. So for registering a SIP device onto the SIP server, first thing we need to do, and if to create the SIP account from your SIP server. So these SIP servers, it can be the IP audio centers, or it can be a ZCAE IP PBX, or it can be a third party SIP enabled servers. So, and you guys know the SIP servers IP address, and then we will fill out the user ID, that is the SIP extension number. So it can be like a 1001 or 1002. And authorized users and domain, you can leave it empty, you can leave it blank. If you didn't fill out the authorized user and domain, it will be automatically pull out the authorized user same as the user ID, and then the domain same as the SIP server. And the password is the password that you create for the SIP extensions. Then the register expiration time in seconds, so 180 seconds, that is 2 minutes. And then the transport protocols, so we support UDP, TCP, and TLS. In some regions, in some area, like some countries in the Middle East, they probably prohibit to use the UDP. In that case, we need to go with the TCP or TLS. And one thing that we need to know is the transport protocol that you select for the device. It has to be the same as you select from your server. So if you select UDP from your servers for creating the account, and then you select TCP or TLS here, then it won't work. So both sides have to be using the same transport protocols. And then we have the auto answers, yes. And then if you are using the IP audio centers, which is our SIP server, all the devices is forced to be auto answers. If you're using another SIP servers, then you can select to be like answer delay for how many seconds, for 10 seconds or 15 seconds, or no auto answers. And then if you are using with the IP audio centers, we need to enable these options and also activate the account here. I will go on the SIP registration in more details later on. Then let's go back to the presentation slides here. So we went through some settings within the device itself. We haven't touched anything with the IP audio centers yet, which will be introducing in the next sections. So on the device itself, when you first got your intercom or your speaker, your device, first thing you would like to do is to check the device and make sure the device is working functionally and properly. And then the second thing is to change the IP address. If generally speaking, if you go on an actual project, you probably don't want to use the DHCP mode in some cases. So you would change from DHCP to a static IP address. So we need to change the IP address. And also, I didn't mention here, but you are recommended to change the default login username and password for the device. So the default is admin, so you are recommended to change, and for security purpose. And then we introduced the P2P, the peer-to-peer two-way communications, one endpoint to another. And then we introduced the multicast, which is a one-way audio, one audio source to multiple speakers or intercoms. Then also the I/O settings, how to configure the buttons, how to configure the relays, the sensors, and also the API. So having another systems to use the device, or having our device to refit or to send the URL callback, and then SIP registrations. So that is pretty much all the. All right. Okay, here we go. So that is, let's see, did I miss anything here? So there are like another settings within the SIP endpoint, such as the time that you can choose in the NTP server, or you can synchronize to your local servers for the time, etc. So in the accounts, we will be changing the password here, and also we have the reboots and the reset settings, and you can do the reboot schedule, for example, like once a week. Or since it is a IP device, we do recommend you to reboot the device on a schedule, such as like once a week. You don't need to do it like every day, or but it is recommended to do like once a week or like every 2 weeks on the IP device. So, and also we have like we have the pin. So if if you need to pin and see if the device is up or not, so we can use the pin here. And also if you are reaching out for technical support, more than likely our technical engineer, they will ask you, okay, can you capture me and send me the logs and send me the data package, and then we can analyze what's the issue. So that is the place that you can grab and capture the logs, and for us to analyze the issues on the device for you. And also we have the import and export. So you can do the, you can import or export the system's config files, and also auto provisioning, and then the test, etc. So there are, I would say there are like not that many settings on the device itself, but it is very useful that you guys need to know the P2P and the multicast, and also the IO settings. That way will help you when you guys working on the project and need to do some feature that is serverless, not relies on a server. We can still achieve the features using the device itself. Yeah, let's go back to the presentation slides here. Okay, so let's move on to the next page, which is another lucky draw sections. So are we ready for the lucky draw for a $50 Amazon gift card or a equivalent online gift card if Amazon is not available in your areas? So please read the questions before you are answering and typing in your answers in the chat box. Are we ready?
Yeah, we count down for 3.
All right, 3, 2, 1, here we go. Okay, for batch upgrading 100 speakers to the latest software version, you should use the IP audio dispatch app, dispatch console, IP audio centers, or the FAD tool. Let's go back here. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so I got my first luck here. I'm not sure if the one that I sent from yesterday, but congratulations to Mohammed. And the correct answer is the Search Active Audio Device tool. We call it the FAD tool. So it's very useful to use this tool if you need to do a bulk upgrading, or you need to do like the configuration for many devices. And by the way, this application is completely free to use. So just download from the ZYCOO.com under the download sections. So this applications is available in both Windows and Mac OS, completely free. And you guys don't need to pay for anything to use the tool here. Okay. And let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so we're done with the endpoints configurations. Let's move on to the software configuration here. Okay, so the first software that we have is the IP audio center. It is a server, and you can install these servers on a hardware servers or a cloud-based servers or like a virtual machine, like VMware. So if you are installing on a on-premise like hardware servers or virtual machine, that you can download the ISO files from our websites and then install it on the servers that you use. And if you are using the cloud servers, then you can download through the Docker commands. And then also we have another option is the ISL100 IP audio server. So it is a hardware server that has the IP audio center installed. Is very useful and suitable for small to medium sized projects. The ISL100 can support maximum 100 extensions. So it provides you the open the box and use features. So you don't need to do your server installations, especially you don't have a technical team to support, because sometimes installing a systems on a server can be complicated, and it takes time. It depends on a case by case. So let me introduce the ISL100 very quick. So these hardware servers, it comes with the 100 of employee licenses. So you don't, if you are buying the ISL100, you don't need to buy the additional license to activate the server. It already automatically comes with the license that you need. And for default IP address on these servers, on the WAN line, we default on 1.100 and LAN line is 10.100. So the recommended setup procedure is to connect the ISL100 directly to your computers. And then when you are able to access the ISL100, then you change the IP address of the server to your LAN lines to match with your network. And due to the hardware capacities, we are not able to expand for more than 100 license on the ISL100. So if you have a larger scales of project, you have like 150 or 200 endpoints project, then we need to go with another solution here. We need to go with either you're buying your own hardware servers and install the IP audio centers, or we go with the cloud-based server. If we are buying your own hardware servers or the cloud-based server, I have a table for the system capacity for your reference. So let's say if we look at the first slide, if we have 100 endpoints, then the server recommendation would be with a CPU of 2 cores, the RAM would be 4 gigabytes, etc. The storage has to be at least 120 gigabytes. And if you have a larger size project, like 500 endpoints, then we need to go with the 4-core CPU and 8 gigabyte RAM, 1 terabyte storage, etc. So it's just the tables on the system, the systems and the servers recommendation for your reference. So if you guys don't know what capacities of server that I should get, So here is a good reference for you to use. And then as I mentioned earlier, if we installing from using your own hardware servers or the virtual machine, then we would use the ISO files. So the ISO files is not directly available under the ZYCOO.com, but it is on the ZYCOO.com. So I have pasted the link here, then you guys can download and use. For the IP audio centers, we provide a 45-day free trial period that you can test it and try without paying any money for the first 45 days. And then the procedure of installing the ISO file is pretty straightforward. The first thing first, you need to download the ISO files, and then we need to create a bootable USB drive, put the ISO files into the drive, and then plugging it into your hardware servers, and then power up the servers to install the systems. And one thing that we need to be aware of is if you're using a virtual machine, make sure then on the network setting, the network sections or network settings on your virtual machine have to be set up as the bridge. So it's not like the host IP or like a local host IP. So it has to be bridged. And yeah, after you successfully complete the installations, you should be able to see the IP address, such as it would be 192.168.11.228. So that is the IP address of the IP audio centers, and you will bring up your browsers and then typing in the IP address and then to access the IP audio centers. And then the second method would be for using the cloud servers. Then we can install do the online installation based on Docker. So you need to install Docker on your cloud server first, and then adding the private Docker postgres, and then follow the steps here one by one to pull the containers and install on using the Dockers on your server. Oops, let's go back here. And then the next application we have is the IP audio dispatch consoles, which is a software applications. So it's it is available in both macOS and also Windows and also Linux. So if you guys, the Linux version is not available on the website, but the macOS and Windows is available. So, but if you guys need to use the Linux version, please drop us an email and we can send to you through emails. And so this application is available on the ZYCOO.com under the downloads page. So just choose the system version that is matched with your computer, such as like if you have a Windows 32 bits or the 64 bits. So select the version that is corresponding to your laptops, download and install. And then the next software we have is the dispatch apps. So it's just like any other app you're able to fire from on Apple's, we able to fire on the App Store or on Android, so you're able to fire on Google Play. Just search IP audio dispatch app, so you're able to fire, and then install or get the app. And then let's move on to the next lucky draw. Here's, okay, so this time it's a $50 Amazon gift card. And I will answer all the questions that I haven't answered on the chat box when I finish the section here. So let's do the lucky draws. So are you ready? 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what is the default login username and password on the IP audio center? All right, so I got my first lucky for this lucky draw, which is David. Congratulations, David. So the default login username and password on the IP audio center is both admins. Okay, let's move on to the next sections. All right, so let's move on to the IP audio centers here. So let's see, how can I get
Okay, let me answer the question by the Anderson first. Since it can install in Docker, can it be also installed in Kubernetes? We still recommend you to install the IP audio center into the Docker, not the Kubernetes, because we think the Docker is more stable. Yeah.
Okay, and let's see. So let's get. Give me 1 second here. So, okay, all right. So, then the procedures on how to set up the IP audio centers here. So first, we need to get on the IP audio centers. So after you log in using the default login credentials, the admin, then you will see this interface, and then it will show the version, the uptimes, the storage, and also the license infos. If you have not yet activated the license, so on the startups here will be saying unactivated. And then after you activate it, then you will showing how many endpoints that is supported within these systems. And the next thing that we would like to do is to create the SIP accounts. So same as any of the SIP enabled server, we need to create a SIP account for the devices. So let's do 5. So you can in adding a individual SIP accounts, or you can do the bulk adds. So bulk add will be asking you for how many SIP account that you would like to create. So let's do an password. So password here, I use the basic password 126. But if you guys working on a project, then the simple password is not recommended. So you should use a strong password instead of this like weak password here. And if the SIP device has any of the video sections in it, you should be enable the video section here, such as if you're using a intercom, the video intercoms, or you are dispatching this SIP accounts for a video phone, then we should have the enabled video sections on here. And also, as I mentioned earlier, the transport protocol here has to be the same on both sides, from the servers to the endpoints. So if you're using UDP here, then on the endpoint side, it has to be UDP. And also for audio codecs. So audio codecs, we support G711's A-Law, G711 U-Law, G722, and D729. So you have to choose at least have one matching audio codecs from the servers and the endpoints. Then click on submit. Oops. 建议应该可以吧。
收藏。
Okay, applied. All right. So after we created the zip accounts, and the next step is to dispatch these zip accounts to your zip device, which will be using the AO file as examples. So let me refresh the AO files right here. And for now, we are back to the device system interface. And then on the zip settings, we go with the primary zip accounts, and then on the zip servers, we will be inputting the zip server address. Oops, not this one. I believe I created with the zip accounts for 9108. 9108. And then the domain password, you need to fill out the password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then make sure that you choose the same transport protocol UDP on both sides, and then enable the these options, the integration with IP audio centers, and also activate. And after it says success updated, we can go back to the device information page, which you'll close, which you'll be able to see whether or not the device is registered to the systems. So right here, we seeing that the device is registered ideal. So that means the device is registered to the systems. And let's go back to the IP audio centers.
You can also check the status on the IP audio center.
Yes, you can also do it right here on the
register status.
Yes, on the register status, or right on the bottoms right here.
And you can also see the IP address of this device.
Yes, and you can see the type and the IP address and the status on the from the IP audio center side as well. So then the next setup that we would like to do is to create the groups. So I already have some groups here. So let's create another group number 6891, and then the name would be, I don't know, like Emily's group. There we go. And then the next thing we would like to do is to choosing the dispatch users. So for now, we're not going to choose the dispatch user because I will create another dispatch user later. So we will be just leaving it, the dispatch user here empty. And then paging modes. So if any of the devices within one group, it is a two-way communication device like intercoms or the SQ10 square speakers, then we need to go with the duplex, which is the two-way paging mode. And then we will be selecting the devices, which I believe right towards the bottom. So the 9108 is the device that I registered on the A05 here. And then click on submit, applies, and the next step we would like to do is to create the dispatch user. By the way, on the groups, that is the paging zones or paging groups. On the IP audio centers, we support unlimited number of paging zones. So you can create as many paging zones as you need. So you can do like the first, for example, like you have a whole building, right? You have the entire buildings. Then the first floor would be one group, the second floor would be another group, the third floor would be another group. So which will be easier for us to manage because in most of the cases, you will be playing different music or have different announcements through different paging zones. And then the next settings would be creating the dispatch user. So let's do a dispatch user, adding a new dispatch user called Emily. Okay, and then I can give the permissions to these dispatch users. So is Emily able to do the zip pagings? Is Emily able to do the intercom, background music, external call, etc.? So if we have different permissions for you as a demonstration to assign for the dispatch user. So in generally speaking, in most of the cases, we will have multiple dispatch users. For example, we have day shift, we have night shift. So then we at least will have 2 different dispatch users. And then the access level has a total levels of 12 from the highest one to the lowest 12. So let's assign 1 to Emily. So I got the highest access level. So the access level here is more typed up to 2 major sections. The first section is for the telephony features. So as you guys know that on the dispatch consoles, we have the telephony feature like a bucket, split, monitor, all those like telephony features. They are related to the access level here. So dispatch user who has a higher access level is able to do the telephony features like to monitor a call that is made by a dispatch user who has a lower access level. And also for the tasks, the dispatch user who has a lower access level cannot see or edit any of the tasks that is created by the dispatch user who has a higher access level. So for example, if I have a highest access level 1 and Kenny has a access level 2. So for the tasks that I create, Kenny won't be able to see it. So then we have the management groups. So let's do the group that I created called the Emily's group here. And the phone numbers here. So the phone number, the IP phone number here means the master phone. So one dispatch user can have multiple master phone, but one master phone can be only assigned to one dispatch user. So let's do, I don't know, 9107. I don't know which device is this one, but anyway, I will select the IP phone number here. And then we have the ring. Also, only the master phone have the authority to make the paging. So you cannot do the paging using any of the phones besides the master phone. So, and the ring strategy. So let's say if I have multiple phones here. So the ring strategy will be ring all, which will have all my master phones ringing at the same time for, I don't know, 10 seconds. Or it can be a linear, so we'll be going one by one. Linears, one by ones, or ring alls. So if no answers, then we can choose the destination on the call. It can be hang up, or we can transfer it to another extensions, or we can transfer to another dispatch users or a external call. So let's do that setup correct. Okay, submit. And click on apply. So follow the basic setup procedure here. We finished the login into the IP audio centers. We created the SIP accounts, and then we have the SIP registration, which is the registering the intercom into the server, into the IP audio centers. And I skipped the IP cameras, which I will do it later. And also we created the paging groups, the Emily's group. And then we created a dispatch user called Emily. And then we set up Emily to manage Emily's group. It sounds very confused. Here you go. And then we assign the dispatch phone, which is the master phone, to Emily. Here we go. And let's do the camera first. So let's go to here. And then if you would like to use the video linkage feature, then we can register the IP cameras onto the IP audio centers here. So under devices, we will click on. So where is the IP cameras address? I need the IP cameras. Here go. Cameras, go. All right, let me copy and paste the camera IP address here. Okay, so and one thing that we need to know is, since the cameras is not a SIP device, so we don't need to dispatch a SIP accounts to the cameras. For what protocol that we are using here is the RTSP. So pretty much any most of I won't say like all of, but most of the IP camera that you can see and buy from the market is supports RTSP. So it will have its RTSP address, in which we will using the camera's RTSP address and then register to the IP audio centers. So on our IP audio centers, we support, we didn't set up the limits on how many cameras that you can register to the IP audio center. So you can register as many as you need, and then we will type up the external IP cameras to the devices. So let me show you a very quick demonstration here. So on the type, we will choose the IP cameras, and the name we will do class camera. And then depends on the brands of the cameras, they have different formats on how to generate the RTSP address. Some brands, they have, let's do, here we go. So it usually starts with RTSP and then colon // Then we have the username and the password at the IP address. And for some brands, they might adding the port numbers behind the IP address, and some brands, they might not need the username and password. So it will be depends on the brands on how they generate the RTSP address. But you will find the camera's IP address, the RTSP address under the user guide that you get with the IP cameras. And then make sure that we don't have any space in front of the RTSP address, and otherwise it won't able to pull the RTSP video streaming. Then we click on submit, applies. And the next thing we would like to do is to modify the group that we create. So let's go on the Star Wars cameras. Then we adding the cameras to the same group. Click on submit, applies. There you go. And then after these settings, well, we are pretty much set up a very basic setups on the IP audio centers. And the next things that we would like to do is to log into the IP audio consoles. So you guys will download and install the IP audio consoles software from the ZYCOO.com. And then after that, right here, the first section, you will be inputting the SIP server's address. And then that is the dispatch user that we create. So logging into the dispatch consoles, we use the dispatch user's login credential. We don't use admins. So we created a dispatch user, Emily, we still remember it, right? So we created Emily's, and then the password for Emily, I believe it 126, and then after you log in, you will be able to see the zones that Emily is able to manage. So right here, since I only assigned it, here you go, okay, you guys can see, here you go. I only assigned the Emily's to manage the Emily's group here, so which I will be only having one groups here. So let's say if I, let's have Emily to manage one more group, dispatch users. And let's do group manage. Let's have, I don't know, area 1, here we go. So now we are assigning one more group for Emily to manage. So click on submit. Then applied. Then we go back to the dispatch consoles, refresh. And right now you can see that Emily's have 2 groups now. So Emily's have area 1 and Emily has Emily's group. So in a lot of like real-time scenarios, we can assign different groups for different dispatch users. And let's check on the PowerPoint here. Okay, so we are moving down to the next slide, which is the basic setup with the IP audio dispatch console, which you're using the dispatch console login credentials. We log in, and then we will operate some of the basic tasks that you can do within the dispatch console. So let's go to the dispatch console here. Let me drag, here we go. Okay, first thing first, we can do is to create some music. So under the music sections, first we can do is to upload some music. I got a lot of Chinese songs here. So first thing we can do is to upload the music into the music corrections. Your music file. Okay. I don't have any music files on Kenny's laptop, so we will skip this part, but we already have like enough music files, songs on the music library. And then the next thing we would like to do is to create the playlist. So right here under the music players, we will create a music playlist, demo playlist. And then music files, then we will select whatever file that you would like to do. I don't know, let's click, select a couple and then save. And then after that, I have the demo playlist, which is containing the music file that I selected. And then after this, and we can go back to the consoles and select the that is the intercom, right? We can use the intercom to play music. Even though that is not the common use case, you use a intercom for playing music, but let's assuming the intercom is a speaker. It is a speaker, right? It's just like a smaller size of speaker. Then we do the demo playlist and then click on play. Can you guys hear the sound? I should choose another song. But anyways, it's a nice song in Chinese. Here you go. And then click on stop. So that is how you use the devices to play the music. First, we go to the music sections, uploading any music that you need into the music collection library, and then we will create music playlists, which you can do. You can create multiple playlists, like one for Monday, one for Tuesday, one for Wednesdays, and we can also, like, if you have different patient group, different sections, like we got like big shopping mall, then we have one area playing Chinese song and another area playing like English songs. And then the next, then we will okay, so let's create some tasks. So that is also another useful features. So let's go to the tasks. And if we click on the new task, so I will be explaining all 3 different type of tasks here one by one. So let's go with the timetable task. So the timetable task is a repeated task. So let me show you a test demo task. Here we go. And the next, we will select the setting for this task. So it can be a one-time, once off. So which is a one-time task. You can select a specific day, which will be today, and then within a specific time, like 10 to, I don't know, till midnight. Within these 2 hours, I will play a specific song or a specific audio for only 1 day. So if you need to do the task on multiple days, for example, like school bell ring schedule, then we will do the repetitive here. So select repetitive, and then we select the schedule, I don't know, from the whole month of May. And then we can add the holidays, which the Chinese holiday, the Labor Day, is coming up next week, which we will be having 3 days off. So let's do from Monday to the 3rd. Here we go. So when I select the holidays here, it will be skipping. So this task will be skipping the holidays. So on the May 1st to the May 3rd, then this task won't be operated. If you have like for like school schedule, we got some holidays that is no school days, and the kid don't need to go to school. In that case, we can do the holidays here. And then for time, we can select the time range. I don't know, the office opens at 9, so let's do 9. And we get off work at 6. Here you go. Here you go. So from this time range, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., I will playing a specific music for the office, and from only Monday to Friday, because we don't go to work during the weekends. So Monday to Friday only. And then next, we will be selecting the audio type. So it can be a music, which we created the music source, the music playlist here, or you can choose another audio type. So it can be a TTS. So you can type in like the sentences and or like audio codes and then convert it into a audio file. Or you can record a message and also alarms. So let's do music here, and then the play mode can be like in default order or shuffle, or times means that is a linear order. And you can adjust the volumes, and then next. And then for devices, I can select the devices. So I have 2 zones, right? I have 2 patient groups. So let's do right here. So I'm selecting both devices to operate this task. So both speakers, they will play the background music that I selected, and then within the specific time and days range that I specified, and then save. Here we go. Then I'm done with my test demo task. And can you please remind me to delete the task when I finish the training? Because I did it multiple times before, like I created a task that is operating during middle of the night, and all the speakers within the office is like playing a music in the middle of the night. And that is like horrifying. And the security guard have to call my manager and ask like, what's going on here? Like, and I was like, oh no, my bad. So yeah, remind me to delete the task after we finish, or we can turn off the task. So turn off right here. So if you don't need to use the task right now, turn it off. Otherwise, the song will be playing, not today, but like doing no school. Yep. That's like horrifying. Like the music start automatically during the middle of the night. And anyways, let's another task is the dial number task. So it is a preset task. So you're going to set up this task first, and then we will use the task later. So do the, call it task 2. And then task next, and then here's the number. So the number here is basically a passcode. So you use this number, the task numbers, to activate the task. So I don't know. So I will give you a random task number to this task, and then create next, and then we can select the audio type, same as setting up the timetable task. We can set up like music, TTS, recorded message, or alarms. So one case scenario is, for example, we are creating a dial number task for a quick message or a quick announcements, right? If I'm going to create this quick announcements, such as I will record a message saying, okay, all people have to use these stairs, not the elevators, and all people have to leave the building immediately, right? I recorded the message, and then I don't know when the earthquake will come, right? So in that case, I will set up the task numbers within my IP phone on the fast key. When the earthquake, if truly it really happens, then in that way, I can just press the buttons to activate the task, and then I can go. When there is a emergency situations, people get panic, people get nervous and don't know what to do. If I'm like having in the middle of an earthquake, even though like I grab my phones and I don't know what to say. So the preset task is very helpful in these case scenarios. So we do the alarms, and then we select the alarm sounds. So it can be earthquake, or it can be like another alarm sounds like fires or tsunamis, Toronto's emergency, and then we select the volumes. Next will be the same procedures. We will be selecting the devices, the speakers. So all speakers in the office. We're selecting the devices here, and then save. As you guys can see the task 2 here, I created a dial number task number 8899 within the devices, all these 3. And then on the operation here, you can activate the task, which is start and stop, and also you can use the feature code. Yeah, feature code. Star 11 to activate the task, and star 12 to kill the task.
Yeah.
So
we will configure it on our IP phones. Yeah.
Yes, and you can also configure on the IP phones for the fast key. So we have a demonstration before on the IP phones. On the function keys. So right here, and you guys can we'll say memory key, and then we inputting the name such as a quick announcement, and then we inputting the value *11 plus 8899, the task number that I created, into the IP phone to activate, and also you can set up another key, another memory key, *12 to queue the task. So for activated, we'll do *11 and then 899 to start. And then for stop task, we do the *1 queue, and then we queue the task. There we go, and then let's go back to the dispatch console. And then a last type of task is the immediate task. Hello, John. Any question, John? Give me 1 second.
Can you mute all, please?
Give me 1 second here.
Very good. I'll fix. Thank you.
Is it good now?
Now it's fine. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Nice. Oh, okay. 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 So, and the next type of task is the immediate task. So, as the name suggests, task 3, it is an immediate task. So the task will be activated immediately after you create. So music, same procedures. We will be selecting the audio type, like music, TTS, or the alarm, or the recorded message. And then music source would be select the music playlist that you create, and then also same procedures. And then next we will be selecting the devices. So in so the immediate task it is a task that activated immediately. And let's see, let me go back to the presentation side, see, okay, meeting. So on the left navigation bar here, as you guys can see, another feature, another sections here is called the meeting, but you cannot start a meeting right here. So if you would like to start a meeting, we will go from console. So let's say we have, let's assuming that we have 2 IP phone, or you can use intercom anyway. So we select the devices that you would like to invite for a meetings, and then we click on the meeting sections, and then it will be automatically invited the devices that you select into a meeting rooms. And then within this device, we can do we can inviting another device, like selecting a numbers here, or we can do like a kick out to kick out the device, or to mute and mute. So for the meeting features that on the dispatch consoles, we only support the audio meetings. So there's no video conference available on this dispatch console. So audio meetings, audio conference only. Okay, and then delete. Okay, and next things then we do is telephony features. So let me go over some of the telephony features. So as you guys know, that ZYCOO has embedded in the PBX yeah, in the PBX field for more than 13 years now. So within the IP audio consoles, we also integrated a portion, not a lot, but a portions of the PBX feature within the IP audio solutions. So on the bottom navigation bar right here, you guys can see we have some telephony features such as the call, intercoms, bucket, split, monitor, and whispers. So those are the telephony features that you guys can use. So for buckets, so for example, if Kenny and I are having a conversations, we are dialing a call, then another colleague would like to join us, then the dispatch user can use these features to have a three-way call. Yeah, three-way communication or three-way call. And also we have splits. So for example, me as a manager, I hear that Kenny is having a argument or like a unhappy conversation with the customers, and I would like to stop, to kill or take over the conversations, then I would use the split features here to take over the conversations. Or another example, Kenny is under a evaluation of his job performance, and I need to know the quality of conversation that he is having with the customers. In that case, I can monitor the call that is Kenny and the customers is having and see how he's doing or if he needs any help. Same as whispers, if Kenny doesn't know what to speak to the customers and he has no idea what to answer, and in that case, I can use the whispers and telling Kenny okay, so you should tell the customers here is how you're going to fix the issue.
And
so
the customer won't hear.
Yes, the customers won't be hear me telling Kenny how to do. So that is how the whispers features work. And on the right navigation bar, so we have the plays, which is the play will be selecting the playlist that we created from the music library, and then we have the page. So page is a paging, so it is a one-way audio for paging, and then we have alarm. So if we click on the devices, or if you double click on the group sections, then you are selecting all the devices. So for example, I only got 3 devices here. So if you have 100 devices, 100 speakers, so it's very it's wasting time that you need to click in one by one. In that case, on the group sections, double click, and then you are selecting all the devices. And also on the filter, on the static filters, we have 4 different statics. So we have the ideals, which is the device is online and not operating. And then we have the BC. So if we click on BCs, then there's none of the device is applied. So, and if earth and offline, here we go. So if we click on the ideals, then it will be on ideals. And volumes, so we can adjust the volume. So we can do switching the volume to a lower volumes or a higher volume using the volume buttons. And also stop and meeting and alarms. So for alarms, we can select the default alarm sounds, like we have earthquake, Toronto, emergency, And on the dispatch phone section here, remember that we selected to dispatch to master phone for Emily. So as we can see, the 9107 is not online. In that case, we need to switch to the 1003. So you need to select the master phone to use for the dispatch user to use. And the next section is we register a cameras onto the IP audio centers. So after you register the cameras, the first thing we would like to check is whether or not the system is able to pull the RTSP video streaming. So for doing that, we can see that there is a little icon, the video icons under the cameras. So if we click on the icon, is it done? Oops. And then we go to the video intercoms, we expand it. Then we are able to check on the Dahua's cameras right here. That is the hallways outside of our office. And let's see what else. Alarms. So if you have any alarms notifications, you will be able to see all the alarms reports right here. So you can do to confirm the alarms and then viewing the alarm information to check the logs, see what kind of event it is and the initiators and etc. So pretty much the alarm section is the logs and report section that you can check. And then we have the false report, ignore, and where's my mouse? And then the another section is right here on the upper right corner. We have the recording. So as you guys know that the IP Audio Center automatically record all the audio files, including the live paging, the intercom call, and the meeting recording. So within the dispatch consoles, you are able to review and download the recording message, but you are not allowed, as a dispatch user, we are not allowed to delete the recording. Only the demonstration from the IP audio centers have the authorities to delete the recording files. So we are able to listen, to view, to download the audio files, but we cannot delete it from the dispatch console. And then we have different type of recording. We got the live paging, we got the intercom call recording, and we have the meeting recording. So that is the recording. So, and moving to the settings. So settings, we have the day mode and we have the night mode. And for language, for now, we are supporting various language, includes English and Chinese. Is it Turkey?
Turkey.
Yeah. And if you guys would like to translate the language for us, we are very happy to do so, to provide you the access to translate the language for the interface for us. And alarm display, so that if displaying, choose the method, the rate of displaying the alarm message. So you can do like display all or only display the quantities or the prompts, etc. And when setting, so that is the QR code for mobile logging in. So if you're also using the mobile app, the dispatch apps, then you can use this QR code to log in. Or you can manually type in the username and password on the dispatch user to log in. And one nice thing that we know is through the whole panels, the entire software, it doesn't contain any of the ZYCOO logos on it. The only things that we can, the only place that we can do a custom typing is here we call the name. So let's do Emily's, I don't know, panel. There we go. When I click on submit, go back to the consoles. Oops. Right here, you know, it shows the Emily's panels. So we don't, the entire software didn't contain any of the ZYCOO message or the ZYCOO logos on it. So the project name is very useful to identify where the application is used. So let's say if we have multiple branches, then we can set up the names like branch 1's panel, branch 2's panels, or like Emily's panel or Kenny's panel. what else? Settings, mobile settings, so that if using the mobile gateway. So the mobile gateway is commonly used in the fire alarm systems. So it's a hardware gateway device. It has a lot of like the I/O settings, the relays, the switch on and off relays on it, in which we can on our IP audio centers, we integrated the mobile protocols, which we can integrate with the gateway there. So let's see what else. Yeah, that is believe that is pretty much. And also on the first row, the first navigation bar, that is the different type of devices. We have speakers, we have intercoms, we have phones, and we have the cameras. Oh, yeah. And that is pretty much the introductions on the dispatch consoles. And then let's moving back to the IP audio centers right here. One thing that I forgot to mention is if you would like to using the video linkage feature, then I believe we is it this one? Okay, yeah. So under the devices, we have to choose. So on the type of devices, it has to be intercoms. So if you are selecting the paging device, you cannot connect the IP cameras within the device. So it has to be a IP, the intercom device. And then we will select the video terminals, which I register the Dahua cameras, right? So when I press the buttons of the intercoms, it will be automatically pulling the Dahua cameras and showing on the dispatch console. So if you are using the video linkage features, you have to be using the intercom device as the device type, and then selecting the Dahua cameras as the linkage cameras. So you can select multiples. You can select like the ZCAE or like another, I don't know what cameras it is, but you can select multiple cameras for the video linkage. But on the IP audio consoles, if we expand the video intercom right here, it can
up to 16.
Yes, it supports up to 16. So even though if you connect like 50 or 100 cameras on to one intercom, it will be only able to show the first 16 for the standard version. So if your project is requiring you to show 32 or 64 IP cameras, that is something that we can do a customized software, customized project on it. And let's see what else. Let me get back to the, okay. Before we moving on to the management systems, let me go back to the IP audio centers and went through some of the parameters here. So that we are now on the IP audio centers, which giving us the first logging interface. We have the all the systems information like the CPU usage and the memory, etc. So I would like to go with the telephony features, since I emphasize that the IP audio centers also integrated a portions features of the IP PBX features. So let's go with chunks. So for chunks, as for those who are familiar with the IPPBX, we will be integrating a zip chunks to the to use within the systems. So you will be filling, for example, like enable filling out the chunks names and the chunks type to select it as a client mode or a server mode. If you are integrating you can also integrate like a PBX as a zip chunks and use the chunks from the PBX. And then filling out the server address, port numbers, etc. So those are the standard settings for registering a chunks onto the IP audio centers. So if you would like to make any outbound call, you need to have a available zip chunks or available chunks to make the outbound call. And then after we integrated the chunks, we will do the outbound through. So pretty much the same as the PBX setting. We will create the outbound through and we will select the chunks. And then we will set up the panel, the patterns. So the pattern for outbound chunks is available here. So we do have a specific value for the patterns. So for the patterns, so if we fill in X, that means that any digit from 0 to 9 and N is 2 to 9. Z is 1 to 9 and dot is matching any number of anything. So generally speaking, if you want to dial a number that has at least 3 digits, then we will go with XX dot. Or if you dial in like a at least 2 number, that would be X dot. So that is the pattern set up as the PBX for creating the outbound through. So if you need to make the outbound call, first thing first, you need to have a available zip chunks for making the call. Second, then you need to have a available outbound through for having the call to send out. And then other than that, we have like the prefix or suffix that you can fill in. And inbound through would be on the DID numbers. So if you got a DID number, for example, like if you're using a zip chunks, or then we will have many different DID numbers. So we can fill out the DID number like, I don't know, 6167 to a specific destinations to like a device. So it would be directly to, I don't know, to my phone number. So that is the inbound through for to specify a DID numbers to the destination number. And then we have the IVR. So same as the PBX, same as the ZYCOO IP PBX IVR, we support unlimited layers of IVR. So you can create as many layers as you need. Same, we will be giving the name to the IVRs and the numbers, and then we will inputting the key, such as we will be press 1 to to 8 to Kenny's phones, and then press 2 for marketing departments, and then it will go to a destination number. It can be a group number, or it can be like another. It can be another IVR, so that is the multi-layer IVR, or we can just go on press stars to hang up, etc. So that is how you're going to set up the IVRs, and then also the group count, so you can select the different times of grouping the IVR. Reports, so we got all the call logs here and the recording. So as I mentioned earlier, you cannot delete the recording from the dispatch console, but you can delete the recording from the IP audio center here. So we got different type of recording. We got the phone, live announcements, the intercom call, the meeting recording, etc. So you can play, download the recording here, and you can also do the delete. Settings. So there's anything in settings that I would like to talk about. So settings, let's see. So for the paging beep, so if you're using the IP audio centers, if before the announcements, we will have the beeping sound, like dong, 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 the sounds. So we can create the defaults, or we can select a custom sounds right here. So if you need to like uploading your own custom sounds, that way we will be going to the audio right here, and then uploading your own audio files, and then select back to the beeping sounds here. And then what else here? That is the standards zip setting, like the parts number 5060, using the center, what else? Feature code, here we go. For feature code, the number trigger paging star, feature code, the star 11, and the stop trigger paging stop feature code, star 12, is cannot modify. So it's hard coded to be star 11 and star 12. You cannot change these two feature code. But for the rest of them, like the DND, like a do not disturb, and the cost spice, the cost please, all these, you are able to modify the feature code. Besides these two, the star 11 and star 12 is hard coded, so you cannot modify the feature codes right here. Recording settings, and for the recording settings, so for all of our, if you're using the IP audio centers, the recording setting is automatically enabled. So if you need to disable like a specific type of recording, you will need to do it manually to disable the paging, or to disable the intercoms recording. And for IP phones, like the master phones, for example, the CEO of the company, he doesn't want anyone to record his phone call, right? In that case, we will need to manually disable his phone calls recording, so it won't be recording his call. And then that is the places that we will be uploading all the music, the audio files. And then dispatch user, we went through here, and then the labels. Label is in Chinese. And then so on the labels here, since on these systems we have modified the labels. If on the default settings, it should be on like it has speakers, intercoms, cameras, etc. And if you modify, once you modify the labels, and it will be override the default setting, so you won't have the speakers, and you won't have the intercoms device type. And securities. So security one here is the intrusion prevention, which is preventing the you will going to set up the number of times, the maximum number of time that is a IP address is trying, like sending the attempts to access your servers, and after how many times it fails, and then we will put this IP address into the blacklist for a specific amount of time. So that is how the intrusion prevention works. And also for blacklist, that is very useful if you have a device trying to register to the IP audio centers for so many times, and it fails, then it will be putting into the IP audio centers blacklist. If you know that the device is safe, then you're going to release the device from the blacklist. Opposite to the whitelist, if you know that the device is safe, then we will be adding the whitelist here. So it will be skipping the intrusion prevention security strategy. Licenses. So if the systems is unactivated, you will see a form here asking for some information such as company name, address, phone number, etc. You will fill out all the forms and then click on the downloads, and then you send the download files to your sales manager, and we will generate the license file for you. So that is pretty much on the IP audio centers. So the center has more setting, is more complicated than the device system configuration page. And then let's move on. And then the next software is not really a software, but the next interface that we will introduce is the we call the management systems, is right here. So some of you may have experience using the management systems. So it's under the 1990 part. So it is a CentOS Linux management systems. So you logging into the system, the Linux systems. We are not using the amend. It has a specific login credentials for the management systems, which is the username is root, which we also call the root user. And the password is the IP audio center at ZYCOO.com. Then let's go back and logins for the roots. Oh, not this one. Oops. Let's see. Let's change to English very quick. Oh, 刚才没有 select 它。
选个中文，然后你再。
你
先换成中文，然后再选成英文。
换成中文，选成。
你再切回英文。
不行啊，它这个好像需要。哎。它要 log out 一下，注销。Here we go. 哦，你的 browser 这边，
他没改。
Okay, give me 1 second. I need to see how can I modify the language showing here. I believe I choose English. 这个没问题的。但是你看嘛。
把这把那个翻译关了。
这个。
这是改了。
Okay, here we go. So that is the Google Translate plugin here, trying to translate the system page on Google Chrome. So anyways, and when we log into the management systems, there are a few things that we would like to do using the 1990 parts. So first thing first, after you have the either using the ISO file installed on your hardware servers or you use the ISL 100, the first thing we would like to make sure is we have the correct time zones, which using the system time here. So you can choose the time zones for the systems. So it is very extremely important that we have a correct time zone, because everything is based on the time zone. So for the recordings, for the tasks that you create, is all based on the time. So if you have a wrong time zone that is set up with the system, that is going to be a very painful experience. So make sure, first thing first, we need to make sure that the time zone is correct. And you can do, like, you can set up manually or you can use the NTP. And then the second thing that we can do from the 1990 part is to turn off or to shut down the systems. So if you need to reboot or restart the systems, we can do it from here, or you can shut down the systems using this button right here. So if you are like too far away from the server room, you don't want to like walk all the way to the server room to restart the servers, then we can do it from the interface right here. And then the second, the another thing that we would use the 1990 parts, the management systems, is to change the IP address. As you guys know from the IP audio centers, there is no way that you can change the IP address from the IP audio center itself. So if you need to change the IP address, we would need to go from the management system right here. So you need to change whatever LAN port or WAN port that you are using, and then change the IP address from here. And then the, not the server, oops. Here we go. And then the next feature that we can use is under broadcast. So the 1990 part, the management system provides the automatic backup plans, which can be automatically saved up to 5 backup system files onto the systems. So after the 5 days, so on the 6 days, it will erase the first days, and the 7th day will be erased the second day. So the system is automatically save up 5, the latest 5 days systems configuration files, but you need to turn it on. So that is a feature within the management systems, and it is fully turned off. So if you need to use this feature, you need to turn on these features and also select the data, the backup data. The configuration file is mandatory to be saved, of course, and but not the music files or the recording files, because for music file, you might have like 200 music files, or you have like a massive amounts of recording and music files. So if it takes up space, it takes up storage for saving up the music files. So we left these two for your options, but you pick you want to save it or not. And then we, if you need to download the files, you will be downloading here. And then if you need to uploading the backup files, you will be using the upload right here. And then for logs, so if our technicians is asking you to send us the logs, which you can download right here. And on the broadcast type, so the broadcast type, we have, for now, we have 3 different modes. For the first mode is It would be depends on the network scenario that you're using. Because on some cases, if you're using a cloud, not a cloud server, if you're using like a different type of servers, it might curve the synchronized synchronized issues. And then in that case, we will be solving using different type of broadcast, because broadcast we have different, we use different prototype to do the broadcast. So there are 3 different modes, which if there is a synchronized issue happens, we can try on all 3 type of broadcast and see which one. So one is support with the, so the mode 1 and mode 3 is support with the public network, and mode 2 it does not support with public network. And then we have the hot standby. So the hot standby is also available. So you can use the enables and selecting the server mode to be a backup, to be the primary servers or the secondary server. So it can be a master or a slave server here. But for using the hot standbys, you need to buy an additional set of license for using the hot standbys. So you do need, like, if you're using 2 servers, you do need have a 2 sets of licenses, and the 2 servers capacity has to be the same. So you cannot have like 2 servers that with different servers capacity. One is having like only 128 gigabytes storage, and another one is the 256, and you're trying to use the 128 to back up the 256. That way it won't be able, it won't work. So 2 servers capacity have to be the same. And also the system's version also has to be the same. And then the Ethernet captures. So if our Mr. Gang or Jada is requesting the files to send us the logs to analyze the issues, here is the place that you can capture and download the files, the data files for us to analyze. And also terminal is just the standard terminal that you can log in with the back end of the systems. So that is pretty much all the features that you can use. Also, you can do like checking the network logs right here, logs right here, here you go, the logs right here. But generally speaking, if we are using the 1990 management system, we usually use it to change the time zones, the system time zones, and also doing the restore, changing the IP address, and also configuring some of the features like the backup and the hot standby, etc. So that is, yes. So, and thank you, John. The 1990 management system is only available if you use our ISO files for installations. So if you are doing a Docker installations, then you won't able to see this interface. You won't have the 1990 part if you're using a Docker installations. So only using our ISO files. And let's see, let me go back to the, let's see if I, did I miss anything here? Let me quickly went through all the major settings that I need to explain before we leave the training here. So I have picked some of the major settings that we need to know. Security, I went through the blacklist and the whitelist. Okay. And these device upgrade. Okay. And the 1990 parts. Here we go. All right. Okay. And the SAD tool, which Kenny went through. And let's see. 10:26. Do we have any questions so far? Let me check the chat box very quick and see. We might got some question here so that I can answer now. I went through the, okay, let's go back to the presentation size. I went through the telephony outbound rule. So make sure you have a workable chance to make the call. Make sure that you have a dial rule to send out the call. And then, oh yeah, it has to be the master phone for making the outbound call. And then the dispatch user has to have the external call permissions. Remember that we can set up different permission for the dispatch user. So if the dispatch user need to dial a outbound call, it must have the external call permission for making the external outbound call. Okay, before we go into the Q&A sections, let's draw the last lucky draw of this training. Okay, so on the last lucky draw, we have the $25 Amazon gift card again. And then please with the question before you are typing in your answers to the chat box. Are we ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, here goes. Same as yesterday, if you have any questions or need support, you should contact A, ZCAE@ZCAE.com, B, I need help at ZCAE.com, C, Ola at ZCAE.com, D, hi@ZCAE.com. So I really want you guys to remember the email address that you should use to contact us. Eh, 好像是同一个，对吧？
不是啊，是一个。
是同一个吗？